we are reading about their bodies being so tall that they seem to kiss the sky with the crest of their gold crowns. This is about the demons which were their bodies growing abruptly. And then Prabhupada is explaining, in demoniac way of civilization, people are interested in getting their body constructed in such a way that when they walk on the street, the earth will tremble. In Kali Yuga, one thing is, it's good people are interested in keeping healthy. Health is important. But spending inordinate amount of time this Gaur Purnima festival in Bombay, there was one very big celebrity who came. So after the festival, after the Abhishek, he met me and he had a very, you can make out from his physique, he is a bodybuilder. And generally, you compliment someone, you see something good in someone. So I said, do you go to gym, spend a lot of time in the gym? I mean, indicating that his physique was so well built. So 4 hours, Swamiji, 4 hours. Every day. 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. I said, very good. So that is not required. Now, why this much tapasya? And actually gym is, all of us have heard, no pain, no gain. Lot of pain, you have to really work on your muscles. The muscles have to break. There is a technical term, muscles have to break, and then you give the required rest, the muscles become stronger. And in the gym, there will be some very motivational quotes, unless you take pain, there will be no gain, and just to inspire them. And when you get that body, then you walk. The specific kind of t-shirts they wear, so that the body is visible. So this is what Prabhupada is talking about, a demoniac civilization where you want to walk six-pack. And then people get impressed. In contrast to that, in spiritual life, what is glorified is humility. And to drive home that example, the example is given of Trinadapi Suni Chena, you bend. To the extent that we should take inspiration from a grass trin. Somebody tramples also, you bend. And then get up. Prabhupada also said, okay, when the bamboo is tender, you can bend it, it's flexible. When it grows, it breaks. So we should always remember, as years pass by, we'll become senior devotees. Yes, senior in terms of number of years, that nobody can check. Even if we don't chant, we'll become senior. But we should constantly gauge whether genuinely these qualities are manifesting in my attitude and behavior. Am I becoming humble? Am I flexible? One very important thing all of us should remember, otherwise we'll break. Maya will give different tests. To remain humble, one very important principle we should remember, and we should constantly remind ourselves. And that principle is, my understanding may be wrong. I'm not saying is wrong. It's not that we have no confidence in ourselves. We always, self-confidence is required. But the other end of the spectrum is overconfident of our opinions, our thinking, our ideas, our perception. When there is some kind of a discussion between two, more so if we are not understanding what some senior Vaishnavas are advising us to do, then rather than being rigid, we can be humble and say, my understanding may be wrong, may be wrong. And it is not just to philosophize and reconcile, it's a fact. We have limited understanding. We have to be humble enough to accept that what I know of the world is very small, insignificant portion. We had one understanding before we came to Krishna Consciousness. Our understanding changed. So today we may have one understanding, it will change. So life teaches a lot of things, experience teaches a lot of things. So we have to be humble. And Srila Prabhupada demonstrated humility in his behavior, in his actions, in his words. Sometimes we get an understanding that humility means a person should always, very softly speak, never get upset, never get angry. That is at a superficial level. At times Prabhupada used the word rascals, fools. Looked like Prabhupada was arrogant. At times Srila Prabhupada scolded his disciples. At times Srila Prabhupada got angry. Superficially it may appear that he was not humble. But what was going on in his heart gets demonstrated in some of the leelas. One of the things which we all have familiar with is the Jaladuta diary, where he is revealing his heart. And he was not writing Jaladuta diary that one day it will get printed and the world will know that how humble he is. It was his personal diary. He never knew that one day it will get printed. And where is right? What is he writing in that? What is his feeling? What's going on in his heart? What is his consciousness? What is his thinking? I know nothing. I'm an insignificant beggar. I have no knowledge. I have no power to preach. Make me dance the way you want me to dance. So this was his innermost. See, one can be externally humble, internally proud. Possible. You can be externally, apparently arrogant, and Krishna consciousness is a game of consciousness. What's going in your heart? What's your consciousness? What's your innermost feelings? So more than external, it is the internal game. Once Srila Prabhupada in early days, the first initiation ceremony when it was happening, all foreign devotees. So they had never ever seen a yajna or an initiation ceremony. Just visualize, they all are foreigners. For us, when we talk about yajna, we know there is a yajna kund, there is fire lighted, and there is you offer something to the fire. Imagine somebody who has never seen a yajna, never heard about a yajna, born in a alien foreign country. So they were disciples, they were people who came in touch with Prabhupada, and first initiation ceremony is happening. So Prabhupada instructed them that yajna will be there, yajna kund has to be constructed. So to the best of their ability, they were trying to help Prabhupada. And the day the initiation ceremony was about to happen, say, assuming that next 1 hour initiation is happening, Prabhupada walked into the temple hall and he was very upset. No proper arrangements, yajna kunda has not been built as he had given the instructions. No flowers, no fruits for offering. Unfortunately, they were also new, they had no idea. First time they were ever doing a yajna. So Prabhupada was very upset, visibly upset. And then Prabhupada said, "Where are the fruits?" I told him, "Where are the fruits?" Yes, Prabhupada, we'll get it. So one devotee went, and after 5 minutes, come back with a plate, all the fruits nicely cut. Prabhupada became even more angry. "I told you full fruits. Why have you cut it?" More angry. And there was one hippie. Whenever he would come to the temple, he would see if suppose somebody is upset, he would see devotees and say, "Why are you upset? Chant Hare Krishna." So that hippie came to Prabhupada. "Why are you upset? Chant Hare Krishna." So Prabhupada, yes, took his hand, took out the beads from a japamala and started chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. What does this indicate? A hippie coming to Prabhupada and saying, "Chant Hare Krishna." Yes, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. One of the symptoms of humility is you don't see who is telling, you see what he is telling. It is in line with Chanakya Pandit's this thing. If there is gold in a dirty place, pick it up. A bhakta can be telling something good. It's our ego which can say that, who is he to tell me? Who is he to correct me? What does he think of himself? Yes, at a vyavharik level, we have certain etiquettes. But humility means, yes, my understanding may be wrong. Yes, I can make a mistake. Yes, it is for my good. I have to improve. So Prabhupada time and again demonstrated that although he was an acharya, one time Srila Prabhupada, devotees Shyam Sundar, he was inviting many prominent people to come and meet Prabhupada, and there would be conversations. So one time they invited priests of a prominent church in Los Angeles. So they all had gathered, and there was a veranda, they all were seated. And some nuns also came. They came in a group from a prominent church. Probably they had heard about Srila Prabhupada, and Shyam Sundar went and spoke to them, and they came. Prabhupada used to like conversing with religious heads. So they all came, and the nuns, as soon as they entered, "So you are the spiritual master. So you are the spiritual master of all of them." So Prabhupada's disciples were there. "So you are the spiritual master of all of them." So Srila Prabhupada folded hands and said, No, I am a spiritual servant of all of them. Although at a vyavharik level, we have to say what needs to be said, but what goes on inside the heart can be completely different. This was Prabhupada's consciousness, mood, full compassion, wanting to serve his disciples. Even when he was chastising, it was with the mood, with the consciousness of correcting them, of guiding them, of leading them on the right path. So that was his mood. Sometimes when we chastise, again we may say that Prabhupada also chastised. We should also chastise. We should know what's the intent. Sometimes our chastisement could be out of sheer frustration. So that's why many times what we say is not as important as in what mood, with what consciousness we say. Sometimes people say, can we point faults, can we give, anything is allowed, provided we do with the right mood, right consciousness. So there were many such instances in Prabhupada's thing. And humility, even Shastastaka says, Trinadapi Suneri. Take this verse and make a garland of it and put it around your neck. In other words, figuratively, what it means is always remember this. If you have to chant this thing, you have to be having this consciousness, this mood. Trinat api sunichena, taror api sahisnuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. Our day-to-day life, the instance is what happens. It's a very good test for us. Somewhere we should pause and think, if I get hurt, why did I get hurt? From that we can analyze, am I advancing or am I degrading? Sometimes with number of years, some pride can set in that I am a senior devotee. But we can definitely be proud of accomplishment, but if these symptoms develop, we become more humble, we are willing to learn, we are willing to accept our mistake, we are willing to get corrected. What is being told is important, not who is telling us this thing. So this all we should somewhat evaluate, test ourselves. And Prabhupada liked many devotees who were humble, who demonstrated these qualities. One of them you've heard about is Jayananda Prabhu. So Srila Prabhupada, wherever he would go to the temples, devotees would gather, they would be too eager to hear him. And so Srila Prabhupada visited San Francisco. And there they were organizing Rath Yatra. So all the devotees were very eager. They came and loud kirtan and everyone was dancing and jumping and room was packed. All the devotees gathered. Next day was a Rath Yatra and everyone gathered. Prabhupada came. And then when Prabhupada sat down, the kirtan stopped. Prabhupada was about to speak. So Prabhupada was seeing all the devotees excited, room fully packed. So before he spoke, Prabhupada looked around the room and he said, "Where is Jayananda?" So one of them said, "Prabhupada, Jayananda is busy building the carts, the rathas. Tomorrow is a Rath Yatra." So Prabhupada said, "Call him." So Jayananda Prabhu came and his hands were full of grease, all, whole dress dirty. So as Jayananda Prabhu came, Srila Prabhupada appreciated him. So this is also one of the symptoms of a devotee is that he is eager to serve. He's eager to execute his assigned duties, eager to please the spiritual master. So many times in our lives also, we will have occasions where we have to choose between day-to-day life. It will throw up many such instances where we can choose our personal spiritual gratification, which is better than sense gratification, or doing our assigned service, which may not be very pleasing. It's our duty. So pleasing Srila Prabhupada means we do what has been asked to do. Doing our assigned service. Now in an orchestra, you see everyone is playing a role, and unless they play their role in tandem, synergistically, everyone does their assigned duty, orchestra, the overall output will suffer. So likewise, whenever we have an institution, whenever this thing is, everyone has a specific duty assigned. And if everyone is eager to do his assigned duty nicely, then overall output will be very, very pleasing to Prabhupada. So Jayananda Prabhu, because of his humility, because of his, was very, very simple devotee. He was always eager to serve. He never wanted anybody to glorify him. He was always in the background. Didn't want to come in the forefront. One of the demoniac trait is that we want to be in the limelight. We want to be in the forefront. We want to be glorified. We want to be noticed. We want people to appreciate us. Whereas genuine humility is just the opposite, where you shun limelight. You don't want to be prominent. That's a different thing. The more you shun, Krishna pushes you up. Prabhupada, you see, he didn't wanted his personal limelight. He didn't wanted this thing. But now, the world is realizing. So that is what humility is. I want to be in the background. I want to be a servant. I want to do my assigned service nicely. Doesn't matter. I may not like it. I've been told to do it, I'll do it. That is austerity. That is sacrifice. That is tapasya. Sometimes we are very particular. I don't like this service. I don't feel like doing like this. What is austerity? Spiritual life is austerity. Tapo divyam shuddhyet brahma saukhyam. What is tapasya? For us, tapasya is not going to mountains, to Everest. Tapasya is not to, beg alms and one day you don't get alms. That tapasya is not there. We are eating nice, sumptuous prasadam. We are living in cozy, comfortable rooms. Whatever facility is required, we have Krishna's mercy. What is austerity for us? Austerity is doing what is not pleasing for the body and mind. It could be sadhana. It could be getting up in the morning. It's not very pleasing. My body is rebelling. My mind doesn't like doing assigned service. I've been asked to do. I know that it is a need of the hour. I know it is required, but I don't feel like doing. I don't do it. I give excuses. So when we are humble, when we are in that mood, I am a servant. Whatever is assigned, I'll do it. If it is displeasing to me, that is tapasya. Tapo divyam shuddhyet brahma saukhyam. Only when we do tapasya, and what tapasya? divyam. This is divine tapasya. When we do that, we'll become purified. And then, what happens when we become purified? Brahma Sokyam Tanata. We will experience that transcendental happiness which will be satisfying to the soul. Otherwise, we'll be running after material sense gratification. Once Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Bombay, he was trying his best to go to US. He was trying various ways. So he went to Sumati Murarji's office. There, one of his office person, when he saw that Prabhupada was very desperate, he was trying his best to go to US. So one of the office person very sarcastically remarked, स्वामी जी आप तो बूढ़े हो गए हो, अब क्या मजे करने जा रहे हो अमेरिका? Generally when youngsters or anybody, they have aspiration to go to America because America is a land of enjoyment. Any sense gratification you want is easily accessible. And in Kali Yuga, meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex, it's all so easily accessible. There is no taboo. There is no restrictions. So that's why Indians and prosperity, comforts. Recently that one flight, when the Trump became the president, some 2-3 flights came, Indians were deported. Some of them were sharing their stories. That movie was also made. What was that movie? Donkey Route? What is that movie how people go to America? So there were some persons, they spend 3 to 4 months. First they will fly to some country, from that country they'll go to another country through some land route, then they have to pass through some mountains and some this thing and jungles and all that thing. Because some way, America is a big country, some way where deep jungles are there, there is a way you can enter the country. So one person was deported, he said, I was cheated. One agent took some 40 lakh rupees thinking that he will take me to America, took me to one country and then we had to pass through jungles and this thing and this thing. And finally when he tried entering America, he was caught. He was caught there and then 1 month he was kept there and then the flight he was deported back. In a very bad way, their hands and legs were handcuffed, chains were put. So imagine somebody has spent why they did do all this? Spent 40 lakh rupees, took all this pain, austerities. Why? Dream of heaven. So typically, Indians have that kind of a mentality. Once we reach America, there's so much of prosperity, so much of happiness, so much of enjoyment. So one person, Sumati Murarji's office, told Prabhupada, आप क्यों जाना चाहते हैं इस बुढ़ापे में? क्या मजा लेना चाहते हैं? So Prabhupada, now one thing is you can get upset because this is not his mood, this is not his conscience, that is not the motive why he is trying to go. One thing is you can get angry, if a normal person is like, shut up. Or he can get angry. So Prabhupada said, with a voice of compassion, he said, what will I enjoy? My life is done. I'm an old man. He said, but people out there, they're lost. I want to do some good to them. I want to give them the signs of Krishna so that they can be happy. That's why I want to go. And this is actually the mood, consciousness of Prabhupada. So in our day-to-day life, in day-to-day instances, there will be things where somebody will taunt, somebody will pass sarcastic remark, somebody will criticize. How we get impacted is also a sign of humility. If we get hurt and that hurt for days together, I am not able to forget, and look for opportunity to take revenge, that shows that we are not humble. One of the signs of humility is, yes, we are human beings to feel hurt. Momently somebody said something, we'll get forget. Sometimes somebody can do something to us for days together, months together, years together. We are carrying that in our heart. And we are burning, waiting when I can give back. And life becomes, tit for tat. She hurt me, I will give back. That is not what devotee life is. We have example of so many pastimes, so many this thing. Bhagavatam is full of this thing. They were hurt for no fault of it. Parikshit Maharaj. We have Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Chitraketu. All these are, Bhagavatam sometimes is not meant for, we can get into a very ritualistic, मेरा आधा घंटा का reading हो गया. And we have a satisfaction कि मेरा reading हो गया. And every day आधा घंटा reading हो गया, एक घंटा reading हो, we feel like, Prabhupada says, what's the use of reading for 1 hour and forget not remembering what you have read till the next reading? Better to read, better to remember one verse. So when we read these pastimes, question what we have to ask is how much I am practically applying in my lives. Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is not an armchair philosophy. Armchair philosophy means chair pe baith ke aaram se sunne wali philosophy. It is not that. It's not an armchair philosophy. It is practical application. Change of consciousness. That's why some bit of introspection is required. Why I got hurt? Why I am not able to forgive and forget? Why am I burning with the revenge mentality? Why I am feeling so hurt just because he criticized me? Again, there's a knowing-doing gap. We are not Paramahamsas. We will feel bad. We will feel hurt. But for how long? What is our thinking after all these things? Who is he to tell me like this? Imagine a community, a whole this thing, if everyone has this humility, everyone has this consciousness, it would be Vaikuntha. That is Vaikuntha. Sometimes we think Vaikuntha is a... Vaikuntha consciousness means where everyone is Krishna conscious, humble. Want to be in the background, not to be glorified. So, Srila Prabhupada, from his, that's why he's called Acharya. From his day-to-day living, from his life, from his leelas, from his act, we can learn. That person is coming, chant Hare Krishna. Why are you upset? He says, yes, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, we have on one side demons, demoniac mentality. We have examples of demons also, their consciousness also. What is their thinking? What is their this thing? Which we are reading in this thing. And we also have examples of devotees. Bhagavatam is giving us complete understanding of how the demons behave, what are their symptoms, what are their activities, what is their consciousness, so that we can gauge this is not what I want to be. Or if I am manifesting this system, understand that these are all demoniac qualities which I should get rid of. These are all anarthas I should work on. These are the projects which I should be working on. Only when we have such glorious projects, the demoniac qualities which are there in us, we are trying to get rid of and develop divine qualities, humility, tolerance, patience, determination, enthusiasm, trying to nurture these qualities, then we advance in spiritual consciousness. Anyone has any question, anything you'd like to ask based on what we discussed today? What is spiritual gratification? Gratification means you enjoy it. Sense gratification means you enjoy it through your senses. Samsparshaja bhoga. When your senses come in touch with sense object. There is material gratification. Material gratification is sense gratification. There is spiritual gratification where you enjoy spiritually. Advanced devotees even shun spiritual gratification. Why I am chanting? Because I feel good. It is spiritual gratification. Why I don't want to do service? Because, no, my chanting is pending. Which is good. But even higher than that is, what is even higher than that? My enjoyment, spiritual or material, is secondary. Krishna's enjoyment is primary. Prabhupada's enjoyment is primary. Why I am chanting? Not for my enjoyment, for Krishna's enjoyment, for Prabhupada's enjoyment. I am chanting to give them pleasure, not for my pleasure. So from sense gratification, we move one level up, and that is our own spiritual gratification. That is better than sense gratification. Understood? But even higher than that is where you even are willing to let go of your own spiritual gratification. For Jayananda is an example of that. Prabhupada has come, everyone is this thing, all the devotees want to chant and this thing. But Jayananda knows, Jayananda knows Prabhupada has come. But tomorrow is Rath Yatra, he is busy with grease, all the dirty hands. Between the two, working on a ratha with grease in hot sun and vis-a-vis in the room with Prabhupada, hearing Prabhupada, which is more pleasing to body and mind? Which is more pleasing? But he chose that, and Prabhupada said, call Jayananda. And Prabhupada was so pleased with Jayananda, he said, whenever the Rath Yatra happens, we should place a picture of Jayananda on the Rath. Because of his humility, because of his sincere service. Many times we do spiritual activities for our pleasure, which is, in one sense, a bona fide pleasure. When you're chanting and you're deriving pleasure, it is bona fide pleasure. But even higher than that is where you're just purely doing for Krishna. There is no tinge of any selfish gratification. Any other question? So we'll stop here. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.